It's a very, very good morning again. It's Wednesday, the day we meet up for breakfast and discuss about Zambian football. And last week we had a very good discussion pertaining to the quota system. We are back today, okay, different location unknown, as we always say, with a more interesting topic, okay. This time around, there's been one bunch who's been complaining week in, week out about the change of calendar. Were FAZs right or were they wrong? Is it difficult to play the Zambia Super League in the red season? And what's the difference anyway with the old calendar compared to the new calendar? Okay? Now, for those of you that are going to follow this and are very interactive, you'll definitely be getting this. Okay? This is a 2022 diary. You'll love it. Okay? Of course, courtesy of Goodfellow, our continued supporters all throughout. So we'll be giving away some diaries on this show. Of course, the most consistent. Okay, those of you that have a lot of connection. Apart from that, we'll also give you these calendars. Okay, the Goodfellow calendars. To just mark the dates on your teams and when they are playing. Okay, so just be interactive, ask as many questions as possible. Today we'll try as much as possible to respond to some of the questions you did ask last week. I'm not alone, just as always, I'm joined by my two good friends, brothers for breakfast. Yeah, so we'll just turn around, yeah, somewhere there, yes, and the one in the picture is actually Jones. Jones, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Bajani. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll ask you to be a bit loud because, okay. Yeah. How has been your week?
Very good. Reflecting and working on resolutions for this year and trying to see what changes we can make going forward in 2022.
Just a summary of last week, your take-home information after the debate of the quota system last week.
Yeah. After reading some of the comments, and some people inboxed me also, I realized that we have to be really careful with the audience that we have. Some people understand football better than us. Some at higher level, some are there. So we need to take everyone on board and explain a few things. Maybe we should have explained that. My take or Punch's take should have been explained that when you support quota system, it doesn't mean that you are against foreign players. Okay? And when you don't support quota system, it doesn't mean that you are against Zambian players. It was just a matter of debating how we can control that, because every system has to have control in them. And my take is we need to put a control to the foreigners we are bringing in the country. It's better we bring in quality than quantity that we've been subjected to. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Very good summary. And of course, a lot of people call him the bad guy. A hater of Zambian players and a lover of foreign players. Just a summary, his name is Pancherelo Chama. Just from last week's talk, what feedback have you gotten from your followers? I saw a lot of comments on your page.
Yeah, I haven't gotten anyone who's inboxed me and told me that I don't like Zambian players. So the fact that he got inboxes shows that he lost the debate. That's not he lost the debate. He lost the debate. I won the debate.
Let me say, actually, if you listen to the whole debate last week,
yeah,
you will find that you realize that we actually convinced Punch. Towards the end, he actually said he is not against the quota. He just doesn't agree with the number. He actually wants 7, not 5, meaning he is convinced that the quota is perfect. You know what, let me just say something. The problem that we have in Zambia is, or what we want, some of us supporting the quota, is we want to import quality. You know, when South African clubs come to Zambia, they get the best player.
It's a summary. It's a summary for last week.
This is not a summary. He's trying to. He lost the debate.
Let me just.
No. Let's It was a knockout punch.
Let me just finish. Let me just finish my word. The problem we have here with Zambian clubs is when South African clubs come here hunting, they take the best players. Look at the players that we lost to the South African League. They are the top quality players. And South Africans don't have to start asking, who is this player, who is this player, who is Chris Katom. They already have started. But the players that we get here in Zambia, it's difficult to find them even on Google. Even when you go to Zimbabwe, you ask, oh, we got a Zimbabwean player, do you know him? Zimbabweans don't even know those players. So we have a problem. When Simba come to Zambia, they pick quality, they take our best players. And that's not what we are doing, and that's what we are calling for. When you have that five, you'll be made to look for quality instead of quality. But when you're moving in the streets of Quito, what used to happen was, oh, there are 3 players from Congo training at Ghana. You know, like we don't even know them. You know, that's the problem we have.
Jones, I'll cut you there. I won't allow Punch to talk.
No,
that was.
I don't want to we'll get back into the debate.
So that was. Yeah. So those of you that missed the show last week, that was the show that we were talking about the quota system, how it affects the Zambian League, how beneficial is it to the Zambian League, and that was the debate for last week. Just as I said in my preamble, today we are looking at the change of the soccer season. Remember, it used to be March to around November. If it delays, ends in December. But all of a sudden, we changed. The Football Association of Zambia changed from August to align it to the FIFA calendar. What does this do? Those are the debates that we're going to get from the two gentlemen today. Practically, I'll start with Punch. Why Punch? He has had a lot of problems about this calendar. Today there's a game, Red Arrows versus Indeni. Already it is raining. Believe you me, you will see a post. You see a post from Punch talking about because of the weather. Okay? So some of you that want to get yourself some diaries, we have diaries and calendars, just tell us, what does Goodfellow do? You understand? That's all. When you do that answer, I will definitely be giving you the calendar and of course a diary. Pancherello Chama is the one who starts the issue today. Punch, I've seen a lot of comments. Every time there's some rain and the game has been postponed. Actually, very few games have been postponed. You've used your very influential page, your Facebook page, with close to about 30,000 followers to tell them that FAZs was wrong to change the calendar from March to starting August. Why?
FAZs were wrong. You know, it's not by accident. But from 1962 when the league began to when FAZs decided to change in 2018, 2019, it's not by accident that for over 40 years, is it 50 years, over 50 years, that the calendar ran from March when the charity shield began up to October, November when the Zambian leagues ended. The reason simple is that FAZs don't want to play during the rainy season because of the disruptions which take place when it rains, postponements and all that. Now some people have argued that there have been not so many postponements which have taken place during the course of the season, but we are all aware that there's, quote-unquote, there's a type of drought taking place in Zambia. We had that 12 to 13-day period where the meteorological department even said that there will be no rain and there will be a heat wave. And even after that, we had a couple of days again where it didn't rain. It only rained for the first time, I think, in Lusaka for over 4 or 5 days yesterday, and then it continued to rain today. Now these disruptions, if it rained continuously like it usually does, it would be a serious problem, and a lot of teams would not be playing. Already this season we saw one match which didn't take place. It happened at Costa Stadium. It was Young Green Eagles, and this was in the National Division 1. I can't really recall who they were playing, because it reminds me, but the team that they were playing, the game, it was rained, and they had to play the next time. It was City of Lusaka. And because of that, that is the situation, because clubs lose money. Let's give an example. So this club is traveling all the way from, it was National Division 1. They're traveling all the way from Northern Province. They arrive in Lusaka here. If they spend the night at a modest lodge, let's just say modest, they'll spend anything between, the very least, they'll spend 3,000 to for about 6,000 kwacha. That's at a modest launch for the whole team, including the driver and everyone else. Then you find that the next day they want to leave to travel back to their town, whether it's Kasama or it's Chipata, one of the teams in Chipata, or Western Province. Now this team has spent 6,000 kwacha just on one day. And then the match is delayed to the next day. And then the next day, they play, and then the match ends. They'll have to end up spending the night. I know there's a regulation that says that the match should be played at 10 hours in the morning if it's postponed to the next day. What happens if the next day in the morning it rains heavily? That means they'll postpone it to the afternoon, and then after the afternoon, they'll end up having to spend another day, which means that they spend 12,000 kwacha. Now, it's interesting to note that that extra 6,000 which they paid, the Football Association of Zambia, who are the ones who made the regulations, won't give that cut back, won't refund for that extra day. And this is what I'm against. It goes against playing in the rain season, raises the costs higher for a number of teams because of the fact that when you play in the rain, it disrupts business. Just as an example, before Jones comes in,
Yes, yes.
It's actually today, if people have observed, we're supposed to go live at 10, but it rained, so the place where we were at last week, we couldn't go. No, I'm just stating facts. It's a fact. It's factual. The place where we were yesterday, where we were supposed to be today, we couldn't go there because we were fearing, it's going to rain, then it's in the open. So we decided that where can we move where it's closed. That's how we came here. And this is the major reason. We made a decision. And imagine if we had a lot of sponsors for the show and we're getting a lot of money. Then we decided to say that we are going to be filming from an outside location during the rain season. There are no indoor locations. Then if it rains, that will hurt the business.
So your issue is postponement of matches because of the weather. That would actually affect business.
It's not one of the, but I'll start with that. It's one of the issues. So postponement of matches is one of the issues.
Thank you so much. Jones, you don't always seem to agree with Punch.
It's got some weird takes on it.
Tell us about how weird his perception about the change of calendar is.
We should pray that such people don't come in the administration. Such people don't come in the administration of football like that. They should just remain outside and talking like that. Otherwise, we'll be doomed. You know, we.
No, I think he gave you a lot of time to explain. So let's allow him to explain.
To start with, we are affiliated to FIFA. Okay, FIFA is the mother body of the whole football in the world. Okay, and we are going to play. We are going to play by their rules. Okay, so there is not even a question there whether we. First of all, we have to play by the rules. Secondly, you know, when you talk about the reasons, flimsy reasons that Punch is giving, you know, unless you started watching football now, but I remember watching football after Davis, even in the old current, getting soaked in the terraces. But football was fun, you know. Football used to start in March, it's rainy season. April, it used to rain. Football used to end in November, December. It was raining, and December. So I don't know where Punch gets this notion that watching football, the rain started yesterday or after FAZs changed the calendar. That's just a baseless argument, really. And postponement of games happen not just because of rain. There are so many factors that can cause a postponement of a game. And that's why people who sponsor football are prepared. They don't have a tight budget where you have a budget which is exact. You have to have enough money, more than enough money, to sponsor a football game because there's these things that happen and you have to prepare for that. As a sponsor, you have to prepare for extra costs. So you can't just have a sponsor who is just like, oh, my budget for this season is strictly this because I've planned for a trip. No. When you're a sponsor of football, you have to plan for eventualities. There are so many things that happen. So postponement of a game doesn't just happen because of rain. So many things have happened. People have moved and there's a national mourning has been declared suddenly and they can't play a game and they have to go back. Those are costs that happen, and administrators are prepared for such. But to say we have to change the calendar because of rainy season everywhere in the world, even in England, there are games that are called off because of snow. There's always bad weather. Even in the old calendar, there was bad weather sometimes, and games were called off. So I don't get that point.
Yeah, so let me still stick with you, Jones.
Yeah.
What then are the advantages of changing the calendar from August to March? Tell us why we needed to change.
Because we were an island. We were basically an island. We were operating like an island. We got our own football in Zambia, and the rest of the world has its own football going on. Okay? Look at, this is January. Okay? January 1st to January 31st is a transfer window. To start with, that alone was a big disadvantage to Zambian players. Because this time, Zambian players, in the old calendar, they will be on holiday. Okay? They'll be just chilling, getting, out of shape and what. So every time most of them were invited for trials, they used to bounce back. They used to come back. Okay? They used to fail because they were going into the transfer window. When they are on holiday, they were being called, oh, where are you? They're not even at the club. Where are you? Where can we find you? There's an opportunity here. And by the time they're going there, they'll fail because they'll be out of shape. The second part is, Punch last week mentioned that we did do well in the cup game for almost 15 years. You know why? Because cup games usually start in January. Yeah, most of them they start in January, February. And most of the time when these cup games started, our Zambia league was off. Okay? And every time Power Dynamos played very well those times, win the league. Next time, January they are meeting TP Mazembe, who have got the season running of mid South African clubs who got this season running. I remember one time watching Power Dynamos versus Manning Rangers of South Africa. Our team were just off season and they started training for that game. You can't get much fit using those off season games. And Manning Rangers came here and wired us. That's it. So it was because of such, because we were subjecting our teams to play very competitive tournaments whilst we are in the off season. So it was like we were working against ourselves. So when the football association decided to change the calendar, I was for the idea, because now it aligns us with the rest of the world. Okay, it puts us on the same page now. When suddenly Leicester needs a player because they've lost some players to Leicester, they can't look at Zambia because we are off season. They look at the active players. Okay, they can't look at the history of how did he play in August and invite him for trial. No. They look at active players. And that's why I support this.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Thank you. Very good point. But why should we stick to the old cat?
First, I'd like to correct Jones. The first thing, he says that when Manning Rangers came to Zambia, that was 1999-2000. They played against Power Dynamos. Kana also came. Mamlot Sanders also came. They played in Kana 2 seasons. I'd like to make a correction. You are mistaken at this point. The South African calendar back then used to run similar to the Zambian calendar. So this is February to November, December. South Africa only changed to what is quote unquote the European calendar in 2005, 2006, after they won the World Cup thing. Now the reason why is because
and that's how now the South African clubs have started doing well.
No. That's besides
Manning
the point.
Rangers did win the tournament.
That's besides the point. But when you look at it from that perspective, the only change because the FIFA World Cup came and FIFA got this rule to say that during the period of time when you are going to host the FIFA World Cup, your calendar should align to FIFA's, which is the European calendar. Now you bring up a point of players. Players have got nothing, whether they're going to qualify, have got nothing to do with when the season is on. We'll give an example, Kalusa Boy, the great Zambian player. He went to play for a big European club, and the Zambian thing was running the same. European calendar was
Do you know?
was that no. Let me continue.
You know how many players we used to export that time? It was one in a
No,
one.
no.
But now,
There was-
look how many players we have.
Within 3-4 years.
Look how many players we
Within
have in Europe.
within 3-4 years, there was Johnston Walia, Charles Musonga, Carlos Walia, Stone Nirenda. Which other players are there? There were 7, 8, 9 players who went to Europe. We don't have 7, 8, 9 players in Europe playing at that level. We don't have. We had 3 players playing in 3 or 4, 5 players playing in Belgium, big clubs. We had 1 player playing in Switzerland, Johnson Walia. We had then I don't know the other names, but those are the ones I recall. Belgium, and then Kalu ended up.
So where we are on it, Katembo, it says no, Pancherero Chama, South Africa changed their season around 1990.
No, they didn't. We can check this out. They didn't. I can't Google right now, but you can check
Yeah,
this
but
out.
please continue with your point of
Yes, we can check this out. So the thing with there are a number of things. So that's the second thing which I wanted to point out, whereby it's not factual to say that if you change kind of. Third is that there's this perception, and I've heard this before from a number of people who
But,
say that we should.
can I just ask you a question? Are you,
Yes.
Are you saying it never used to put us at disadvantage?
No.
Going to CAF games whilst
No.
we are off season.
No.
Without much fitness.
No, because you know why your point. I disagree with your point. Reason being is that CAF only changed the season in 2017-2018. That's when FIFA told CAF we need to change. It only changed in 2015. So before, Zambia ran the same season as CAF. The ones who didn't run the same season as CAF were those odd ones out. Alapi always used to win it, but they were running the European window, and Alapi, so the likes of the likes of Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt, they run the leagues during that because they share weather patterns similar to you. They're closer to you.
And that's why they dominated the CAF games.
But they dominated the CAF games, but you're contradicting yourself. The calendar for CAF previously was from 1960.
Not contradicting myself.
You are.
Zamalek, when Zambian club is pitted against Zamalek, okay, and the games are starting in January, Zambian clubs are off season. They have got no much fitness, and they are going to play Zamalek. That was a loss before we played.
Let me give an example.
So where's the contradiction?
Let me give an example. This year, Alapi are doing very well. But do you know that the Egyptian league started after the CAF Champions League and CAF Confederations Cup had already started? It only started afterwards. But the Egyptian Cup went through. Pyramids are through. Alapi are through. Zamalek are through. I just think it's Israeli who I can't. One of the teams.
You're talking about the COVID-19 bans and what? We're talking about the general, not one season where they were disturbed, where the Egyptian league was disturbed by some politics.
Even before.
We're talking about the general.
Yes, even before. So the Moroccan league usually starts after CAF competition starts. Now the reason why the Moroccan leagues and these other leagues start before, even when you notice TAS,
Morocco, they don't win the CAF. Let's talk about Egyptians who dominate.
No, Wydad Casablanca, Raja Casablanca are the previous champions of the CAF Confederations Cup. The previous champions.
So the ones that have dominated Zamalek,
The CAF Confederations Cup.
actually,
Undisputed that the big teams in Africa are Zamalek, Alafi, Wydad Casablanca, Raja Casablanca, Esperance, Mamelodi Sundowns. These are the biggest. Now, I just want to give a context into why the Moroccan League usually begins after CAF. This is just how they do it. They'll begin after the CAF Champions League and CAF Confederations Cup. I mean, the reason why, basically, is that the teams like Raja and Alafi and Wydad, they're exempt from what is they only come in the last round. That's before the playoff round. That's when they'll be included, and then they get so they won't be in the preliminary. However,
So, Punch, can we get to the why is it wrong? Okay, for FAZs to change from August to March.
Okay.
This is the contention here. You understand what I mean? You've been against this, and I'm also being told that I'm very I'm not fair with you. I'm giving Jones a lot of time to explain. So these are the comments that are coming through. But I want you to be very clear. Why is it wrong for us to change from March to, from August to March? This is the explanation I want to get.
First, as I said, when we started off by saying that, or he said that a lot of the leagues that FAZs are just following what FIFA say. However, my view is that why should FAZs follow what FIFA say? FIFA are not saying.
Why shouldn't FAZs follow
It
FIFA
doesn't
because
add
that's
up.
another body?
No, look.
What kind of an argument?
I'll give one example. The Norwegian league runs from March up to November.
But you like
Up to
giving.
October.
Norwegian is none. Then that's why they are poor. That league is poor.
Yeah, are you saying Erling Haaland is a bad player?
He wasn't playing in Norway.
He was playing in Norway.
No, he
That's
was
why he
playing
started his
parts on
career.
that. He was playing parts on
Then
that.
he moved to Norway. He moved to Red Bull. Now, because you're bringing up this argument and you're saying that, because our
Who is that?
pictures not
Who talks
aligned.
about Norwegian league in the world?
Look, the Norwegian league, right? Runs from. I'm just giving an example.
Yes,
of
that's
the
why
league.
that league is
Jones,
poor.
kindly give him an opportunity before I don't think we are attacking Punch. Yes,
So
Punch.
the Norwegian league, the Irish league, the American league, and a lot of other leagues, the Mexican league as well, the Brazilian league, they don't run a similar calendar as FIFA. They don't. Some of them change here and there. They mix it up and change. But generally, the leagues that I've mentioned, just among, in fact, if you look at the number of leagues in Europe, about 40% of them, this is a big number. It's between 30 to 40%. I was checking them out. They don't run the European calendar, which quote unquote we call the FIFA calendar. They run their own calendar, and you can check. You can verify this. I think Moldova among them, Macedonia. But what I'm just saying is that this perception that we should follow FIFA is inaccurate. We cannot follow FIFA based off what they say. We should tell them that, look, our weather does not support. Now, let me give you a practical example. During the period of time before when you're saying that things used to be okay and things are like that, crocodile. You know?
Fine.
Okay, anyway.
Focus.
Never mind, let me focus. I'm just shocked.
Shocked with that.
There's a crocodile there. You can see it. Okay, anyway, no. Let me not get broad.
You don't have answered this question.
No, let me get. So we're in a nice place and I just couldn't believe it. It's a crocodile. So anyway.
Okay, before you talk about the crocodile, gather your thoughts very well.
No.
I'm going to Jones now.
Yeah.
Jones, what are the advantages that you've seen in the change of calendar to this new, the old to the new?
The new calendar to the old. Okay, yeah. So I just get shocked that the food professor like Punch, sometimes he just gives you weird examples. It's the same as last week. Other favors the teams look at PSG. PSG has never won the European tournament. They have got a lot of foreigners, but they have failed to win the European Cup. So it's not an advantage. So when you talk about what he's talking about, Moldova League, talking about Norwegian League, talking about USA League, why are they in the doldrums? Maybe it's because they are doing their own thing. They are not doing what the mainstream football is doing. Okay? So the countries that are following the FIFA calendar, they are at an advantage because now, for the first time in the United Kingdom, we have three players. Okay? And these three players are coming from the leagues that are aligned with FIFA. Okay? All the leagues they are coming from are aligned with FIFA. And that gives you because there's just certain times when these clubs will recruit players, okay? When Leicester go hunting, it's just this time, like January to 31st, okay? They've been watching players for some time, but this is the time. They'll look at the player now. They can't say this player was performing last season and let's recruit. They look at now, okay? So they looked at the the 3 players that are now in the UK for the first time, Zambia, because we have aligned ourselves and all the leagues our players are going to are those that are aligned with FIFA. Okay? So the route is clear. You understand? They can only pick a player in January who is fit and who is performing at that level. So no team is going to look for players this time in the league that is off season. You can't go to look for players in the that's why US players, they don't move too many. There are not a lot of them that are moving to the mainstream league because their league is sleeping.
No, look. I disagree. Christian Pulisic, Chelsea.
Yeah, but you know that America is like a continent. They're supposed to export more. How?
So Punch, on this same line, let me guide the direction. There's a point which I don't want to lose, which was actually brought up by Jones. There could have been a mistake. The CAF club competition, we are starting at the same time with the Zambia Super League when our Zambian players were coming from off-season. Okay, so the other players from other countries will be already on 100 running, where our players are trying to get fit into getting into the CAF. Don't you think that was a very big disadvantage to you?
I don't see why you can't see that point.
Look,
I don't understand.
No. Let's go with your line of this.
Yeah, I want you to handle that one.
Okay.
The players that are coming from off-season, playing against the players that have already been running.
So we'll give an example. So currently in the camp, the teams which run the season a year calendar, we've got Zimbabwe, Botswana, Mozambique, Malawi. Most of them Southern Africa. I mean, I've missed out 1 or 2 outside of Southern Africa. But they are a number. I think Sudan as well. I stand to be correct. So now, when you look at these teams, when they are playing, entering into CAF competition, that's of Zimbabwe, that's of Malawi, over the last 2 seasons.
They are not aligned?
No, they're not aligned.
Okay.
There are a lot of African countries that are not aligned.
I know
They're
that.
not.
I know.
So, how is their performance? No. We're following your line of argument. When they face an Arabic side, which has not entered into the season, they're off season, and then they meet a side from Zimbabwe. How many Zimbabwean sides, Zimbabwean, Malawian, Mozambican sides currently are in the CAF Champions League and CAF Confederation Cup? You know how many? 0. But they should be, because based on, and I'm using your logic.
Yeah.
Because based on your logic, their season is running similar to how the season used to run before. So they must be fit, they must be ready, but how come they are not ready?
You said they are not aligned.
Exactly. If they are not aligned, this is why you don't follow African football, so you're not seeing the reason. Look,
You're saying they're not aligned with people.
look, you
That's why
said,
they're playing a team. That's
no.
fitness levels, they're different.
This is what your argument was. Your argument was that
We perform badly.
Zambian clubs used to perform badly because our season was off. And who are playing teams like teams from Egypt and all these countries whose season is like Congo, whose season was on. And I agree with you, because the likes of Congo, Egypt, they ran the European calendar. They would start their league in September, then end it in May, April, May, June, sometime that period of time. So you're saying that when a Zambian team, which was meeting these teams in early March or late February, and our league is only starting in late March, because that's when our league started. That's our league used to start late March, early April. Like you are saying that these teams, these Zambian clubs will be eliminated by the likes of TP Mazembe, likes of. So I'm saying, using your logic, since the calendar has changed, for Africa, CAF Champions League to September, that's when September, October, then it ends in May, June, similar to Europe. So based on your logic, you are saying that now teams from Zimbabwe, which would have been playing, which are playing, they should be reaching the end of the season by September. They should be able to be the ones to dominate.
No.
But that's what you're saying.
I'll stay with you,
That's
Punch.
what you're saying.
I'll stay with you, Punch.
Using your logic.
There are a number of questions for Jones. Maybe let me just read this one. Jones, I'm sure you are the one who should not be in administration. Remember, your introduction was actually an attack on Punch, but he has support today. He says You are the one who is actually not supposed to be in administration. You love copy and paste. Just because everyone is doing it, it does not mean that we should do it. Your reaction to that?
What I said was, Punch's argument was because one or two games were washed. Okay? I was saying, even in the previous calendar, one or two games were washed by rain. Nothing has changed on that front. Okay? In the previous calendar, there was a rain season. In the previous calendar, there was a rain season still. And in this calendar, there's rain season. So I don't see why that reason should be an excuse that one game or two games will be washed in the season. That's a given. Even when we go back to the old calendar, one or two games will be washed. Okay? So, second, what I'm saying is, look at the changes, what it has done to us. Okay? The changes have meant that for the first time in the past 3-4 seasons, I don't know when was the change, 2019? Yeah, we've consistently have at least one club from Zambia go to the group stage in the cup. A thing that was not happening then. Okay? So, in the whole, there is a development because now we are, these cup games are finding us with much fit. They are finding Zambian clubs fit for games. Unlike in the previous season when Power Dynamos will be in the off-season and they'll be asked to play Kiti Mazembe. I remember watching that game when we were wired by Kiti Mazembe. I remember watching all those cup games. We used to go out in the first round and Power Dynamos is a team that you dominate. And you will be shocked why we would lose that game. And a lot of coaches were victims. But it was just players that were not fit.
But here is where Jones is.
And let me just finish. And if we keep doing the same thing and failing without trying to look for solutions, then we're not good administrators. Someone had to do something about it. We had to change because even now it puts us, like Africa Cup. It starts in January. You know that, okay? Forget about why Zambia hasn't been floated today. It's a debate for another day. Zambia hasn't been qualified. But if Zambia qualified, all our players now will be much fit for the tournament in January. Unlike in the previous times when Zambia would be picking players who are off season to go for the tournament. It used to put other countries at an advantage.
But Zambia reached the final of the AFCON.
No, I'm just saying.
In 1994. We reached the final.
Yeah, I'm just
the semi-finals in 1990
So,
using the
no,
card.
Pantarello, on the same. I really are finding it very hard to get your explanation on why things are affected by the change of the calendar. You've not never done that.
I've been doing rebuttals, everything.
Yes. So tell me, what are the challenges that you think have been brought in due to the change of the calendar?
Okay. Before we get, I would like to make a final correction on this. So, despite the fact that the calendar has changed, even during this period, it still remains the same. Our clubs enter into CAF competition having not played league competition. Zesco this season played CAF competition, they have not played any league matches. Zanakwa as well. All the clubs which participated didn't play any league matches by the time they started playing their first continental matches. So it remains the similar situation as even before. And this happened last season and the season before. So nothing much has changed because traditionally we always start our season when just after the CAF matches, preliminary matches have been played. So there's nothing that has changed.
But what has affected the
what has affected? Firstly, attendance. Attendance during this period has gone down. And this is just factual. Look, people are saying that, and I know I've also had this debate with even people within the football association. Firstly, we can't follow simply because people have said something. Just the same as Norway said that we know you run your own calendar, but we're not going to follow your calendar. We'll follow based on our environment. Now, the important thing to note is that during this period of time, the amount of rainfall that Zambia has during the season which we've decided to run, which is from September up to May, June, that it rains millimeters. It rains between 600 to 1,200 millimeters. that's between the least 600 to 1,200. And do you know?
You seriously did your geography.
And do you know the old calendar between April when the league would begin, late March, early April, to October, November? Because our league never ran into. The only time our league has run into December in the last 25 years was when Zesco United played CAF competition. That's when they reached the semi-final. So because they played a lot of games, it pushed the season into December. That's the only time. And that's because of Zesco United's participation. Not because the league was supposed to have ended in November, but fast pushed it. With that said, from the old calendar, do you know how many millimeters it rains? How many? It did rain 11 to 14.
And talking about the amounts of rainfall,
11 to 14.
Jones, there's someone who wants to agree with Pancherello Chama and would want to get you. His name is Tutu. He says, this guy called Jones, can he compare rainfall pattern in March and that of January? Actually, our league used to start when rains are about to end. And the time the rains are about to start, our league would have been in its last stage. Unlike now, where we play games throughout the rain season.
In March, that's when we have the heaviest of rain. You know, November say, full of
Okay, all right.
Okay, but we shouldn't even dwell so much on how much rain, how much what. Let's look at how many games have been called off, or how many games were skipped. I only remember like
so far this season we've not had any game
postponed. Have any game called off, but I remember one game Ghana at Koroma where fans enjoyed the game in the rain.
The previous season there was the one game which got cancelled at Edwin Boy.
Yeah.
It had to be shifted. Yeah. Because of what? Because of the rain.
Yeah. But
who covered the cost? Who covered that cost?
Football has sponsored.
No, you can't talk like that because the people who sponsor are human beings who put in their money. You can't from one. If I am the owner of a football club, then my football club comes and tells me that our budget for this day is a 5,000 or 10,000 kwacha. Then all of a sudden it rains. Then they say that no. Then says we shift the game. No, let me just put.
Continue.
Then we shift the game. Then they'll say, oh, Euro Stadium, no, the budget is 25,000. So now I, as the owner, have to look for an extra 15,000. Look, the decision FAZs made was wrong because our stadia are not ready. We're talking about games, but do you know how many training sessions during the course of this season are arranged? A lot. I'll give an example last season. Last season, I was attending a training session for the Soccer Diamonds. We were supposed to do some filming with Spring TV. They were playing, I can't remember who they were playing this season. It was November, December. We went there and then it rained. It rained so heavily, it was at Sunset Stadium. The whole training session was called off. The Soccer Diamonds lost a day of training. A day of training to prepare for the match. They actually didn't even win that match because of that. Those are some of the issues. Because now, when you as a club, you go and use Sunset. Sunset are going to charge you a 7,000 for, just as an example, Zanapo are going to charge you because they are the owners of Sunset. They're going to charge you a 7,000 as an example to use that training pitch. If it rains, you are not going to go to tell Zanapo that Zanapo, look, it rains today, can we use that for tomorrow? They'll say that no, we've got a schedule. This team is supposed to play.
It's expensive not to have your own pitch. Now,
so as we are running down, I'll go to Jones. You almost brought a very good point of the cost of running stadiums.
Yes.
Okay. Now, are our stadia ready to host games in the highest bit of rain season?
As long as you don't take a step, okay? As long as we remain comfortable, we won't develop, okay? We have to take a step so that we develop. We have to, when you're making these decisions, you have to look at pros and cons, okay? The last calendar had its own advantages and disadvantages. This calendar also has its own advantages and disadvantages. But the advantages of aligning the calendar to the FIFA calendar, they outweigh these bad ones more. Because when you talk about rain, okay, football is not, it's just, we just play football on Saturday afternoon and we don't play every day. And the probability of the rains on that day, it's not like it will rain every Saturday.
But should we seriously be looking at the probability
No, but the thing is,
that could actually be affecting the whole game?
no, but you know, there, like I said, even in the old calendar, there were so many reasons that would lead to cancellation of games. Okay?
But nothing to do with the weather.
No,
Nothing to do with the
it's
weather.
just to be there.
Nothing to do with the weather.
And again, just as you are on that point, Augustine has a question for you. He says, I have a question for Jones. How much do you watch the lower league? Have you seen how the rains affect them? Do you think about players' safety? Jones. He even ends with your name again.
Exactly.
No, like,
there was...
No, he's answering. He's answering.
you know, Bwizan, the rains can, we just we just exaggerate this problem. It's not as big as the way.
No, but there's no infrastructure
Yeah.
in this country.
No, but
Of course, the Super League has some standard of some sort, but he's actually talking about when you go down to the lower division, how much effect does it have, the rain season, on the lower division too?
how much effect?
Yeah.
You know, it has its own advantages and disadvantages. Of course, there will be effect. Even the previous season, there used to be times when we were watching football in October, and it was so unbearable. You can't stand in it. It was so hot, okay? And it was difficult for players to run in that 40 degrees. So, and it was also,
So what's the difference?
it
It's
was
to play in
also,
October.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just giving an example. That it also poses a health hazard to play football at 14 hours or 13 hours in October in such kind of a heat. So health reasons are there everywhere, okay? In both seasons, the last one and this one. We can talk about that. But what I'm saying is the advantages of aligning and the advantage of staying in the old. The advantages of aligning or bringing back, it has now forced a lot of clubs. A lot of clubs have worked on their stadium. Because sometimes back we used to watch football in waste pitches. But now, a lot of them have developed. A lot of them are working on. Look at the Independence Stadium in Choma. They have worked on that pitch. It used to be waste when the first time they came in. You whether they have visited that pitch. Now the clubs are being forced to work on these pitches. And as long as you tell them that no, we are going back to the old calendar, you don't have to do anything on your pitch, Zambia will not develop. We are developing because now we are pushing clubs. We have to push clubs.
Nice debate. We are way off our time. We're way off our time. But I'll get back. I'll get to Punch. Punch. As you are concluding, I know you left something for later, which you always call your punchline. You understand that? So, what's your punchline? Pretending this weather change and the change of season.
It was a bad decision based on business, not any. When the Football Association of Zambia should make the decision, they could not have based it purely around because FIFA have said. They should have based it on what do the research, what do the statistics say? We know that Zimbabwe, Malawi, which have more advanced professional leagues than us. When I say professional, they've got professional bodies which have been running their leagues longer than us for 7-8 years.
We still don't have.
We still don't
Yeah.
have. So these made a purely business decision and said that we can't follow you, FIFA, because our clubs
That's
will
why
lose,
Malawi
our
League
clubs will
and
lose.
Zimbabwe League are not better
Our
than
clubs
Zambia
will
League.
lose. Very ironic that both Zimbabwe and Malawi at the Africa Cup of Nations were not.
No, we're talking about the league.
But you're saying
We are talking about
But
the
we'll
league.
come back and
We'll
talk
come
about
back
that
and
next
We're
week.
not
on
talking
the other
about
side.
national team. We're talking about the league.
we're talking about the league. Irrespective of that, they have their own issues. However, the way, from a business point of view, it's a bad decision. We know that when it rains heavily. Now, Jones and me, we are the hardcore fans who can go to the stadium even when it rains. We will go. However, what about that fan who's not hardcore? That fan who watches Arsenal from the comfort of their home or the bar? Are they going to be forced to go? Firstly, they'll say that if I go to the stadium, where am I going to? Sunset. There's no protection when it rains heavily. None at all. Even when you're in the grandstand. Everyone starts running away and going under.
Your concluding remarks?
I'm saying that it was a bad business decision. Clubs have suffered from that decision because attendances during the rain season go down. So the decision by the Football Association of Zambia.
Can it be reversed?
In their thinking, yes, I think it should be reversed because the decision of the Football Association of Zambia was that okay, we're going to tell clubs to change, and over time, the clubs will put they'll put roofs on the open wings so that people will at least have be covered. But we are into the fourth season now, in which or the fourth year in which this decision was third or fourth, and no club has done anything, zero to put. So my argument even before was that clubs are not going to do anything because even when clubs are failing to do the basics like put names on the shirt of their backs,
Scoreboard.
they're failing to put scoreboards. How do we think that they're going to do such a complicated thing as put
Thank you,
it's not a
Punch.
bad decision,
Thank you.
and it needs to be reversed.
Thank you so much. So your issue is this should be reversed.
Yes.
It's not good for football, and it's also
Financially.
affecting the financial muscles of the clubs. Okay. Are we reversing it, Jones?
For the first time in a long time, I see a lot of money in Zambia League. I mean, even in the, you can't compare the money that we have in the league now to the money that we
started
had
coming
before.
in before the season changed.
So I don't understand Punch's
money-
financial argument. There's more money in the league. There's more
When did the
sponsors.
soccer dynamo start buying?
Punch. Your line was
punchlines
gone.
were weak,
Your
the
punch line
lady
was
well,
it says it was weak. Let's go to the
So
Jones
I
punch.
so I don't know what it means when it says it's more, it's affecting financially. Now, clubs have more money, and there's more money in the league. The Zambian league, especially Zimbabwe, Malawi, those leagues are inferior, far inferior to Zambian league. You can't find the Zimbabwean or Malawian team in the cup this time, okay? So we are doing far much better now after aligning the calendar to FIFA than we were doing when we were. So the benefits are far more than the disadvantages that Punch keeps talking about. Because the cancellation and what, there's more people that are following the league now. Even across Africa, Zambian league is just ready because of after the aligning the calendar. Everywhere you go, the league is growing. In Zambia, young people are talking about the football, not before. Before it wasn't there. Now it's everywhere, and there's more money in the league. So those financial issues, they are neither here nor there. Clubs right now clubs are doing things about their pitches. I've listed a few, like I cited Independence Stadium in Choma. Arthur Davis has got names and billboards. You know, it's just old clubs like in Ghana that are
Okay, so before we go to the old clubs, two things you so much think about the Super League. Okay, he says, guys, let's not.
without mentioning Ghana.
Yeah, he says, guys, let's not think about the Super League only. We should also look at the lower leagues and how rainfall affects them. Lower leagues are in a mess. Last season we had so many abandoned and postponed games. That pitch in Mississippi was a sorrowful sight. So yes, that's what is going on. I'm going to give my brothers thank you, courtesy of Goodfellow. You can just show us the diary, yeah. Pancharelo Chama, good debate. Yeah, so these are the Goodfellow diaries that we are giving. We'll also be giving out some calendars. Okay, some calendars already. Punch is trying to see if the dates are in order so that rains are not disturbing his programs. Yeah, so yes, this has been the Zambian debate for this Wednesday, and we are back next week looking at different topics altogether.
Did I finish my punch line?
Yes, you did. All together, and just as we said, we'll definitely be giving you some of these things that we are supported by Goodfellow Finance. My name is Bwezani Mbewe. Until next week at the same time, when we come back with another interesting topic. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to the boys on Zambian Football Debate.